Part 1: The Birth of Rome's War. Economy founded by the sword, expanded by debt, collapsed through money. When we think of Rome, one image always appears: bronze-helmeted legions marching along stone roads, teaching the world what discipline means. But Rome's true power was not the sword. The real engine of the empire was its financial system. War was the motor, money was the fuel. At first, Rome was just a small city-state. There was no grand imperial vision. Yet geography dictated Rome's destiny. In the center of the Italian peninsula, mountains for defense, the Tiber River for trade, the Mediterranean for movement. Geography whispered to Rome, "You must grow." The citizen soldier model Rome's earliest army was not professional. Every citizen was expected to fight when needed, and each soldier bought his own equipment. This meant only landowners could serve. A landowner had roots. A landowner had something to defend. Rome's army was therefore morally strong but economically fragile. As wars moved farther away, campaigns grew longer, and the problem appeared. A farmer can abandon his field for 1 year, but 5 years, 10. If the fields are not worked, production stops. If production stops, the city starves. Rome learned this lesson harshly in the 3rd century BCE. The Punic Wars, Rome's economic turning point. Rome faced the superpower of the Western Mediterranean, Carthage, wealthy, maritime, commercial. The struggle between Rome and Carthage was a struggle for trade routes, grain supply, galleys, and naval control, flow of tribute, and spoils. This conflict is known as the Punic Wars, and the wars were extremely expensive. For the first time, Rome had to borrow on a massive scale. Rome's first debt crisis, 241 BCE, Rome turned to the equestrian class for funding. Who were the equites? Roman institution. Modern equivalent publicani, tax farming companies, government contractors and private tax firms, equites, financial aristocracy, oligarchs plus bankers plus state-linked capital networks. Rome privatized war financing. And private capital did not fund wars for patriotism, it funded war for profit. Rome borrowed. Rome paid interest. Rome linked war and finance permanently. As Rome conquered, it gained new land, new slaves, new tribute, new taxable populations. War became profitable. A legion no longer marched just to defeat an enemy, but to extract value. There was a Roman saying, "Peace is only the interval between wars." Rome's economic model now depended on constant expansion, constant conquest, constant inflow of plunder. If expansion stopped, the system would collapse. The seed of Rome's downfall was planted here. Marius's military reforms, 107 BCE. The hidden explosion. General Gaius Marius broke the old system. He allowed landless men to join the army. The state now paid for equipment and salaries. Rome's army became professional. But the soldiers' loyalty shifted from Rome to their general. Because the general fed them. The general promised rewards and land. This created history's first military political patronage system. The army was no longer a state institution. It became a tool of personal power. Enter Julius Caesar. Caesar, the man who understood the economy. Caesar's campaigns in Gaul brought massive wealth to Rome. He enriched his soldiers and the common people. The people thought, where Caesar goes, there is food and money. The Senate thought, where Caesar rises, we fall. Caesar crossed the Rubicon. That act meant one thing: power belongs to the one who controls the money in the army. The Republic died. The empire was born. The denarius degrades. Inflation begins Rome's silver coin. The denarius once held nearly pure silver, but as conquest slowed, spoils fell. Slave supply shrank, taxes stagnated, so the state reduced the silver content to mint more coins. Era. Silver content consequence. Republic approximately 95%. Strong stable currency Augustus approximately 80%. Rising state expenses. Nero approximately 50%. First major debasement, 3rd century. Approximately 2% currency collapses entirely. Money lost value. Savings evaporated, soldiers demanded higher pay. Prices surged, the Roman middle class collapsed. Small farmers went bankrupt. Land concentrated in the hands of the wealthy. The backbone of the state broke. Part 2. The collapse. Money fails and society decays. Nero, the first state engineered inflation. Nero drained the treasury. His solution: if silver is scarce, reduce the silver in the coin. Rome printed fake money. This was the origin of inflation by state policy. 2nd century CE. Expansion stops, crisis begins. Rome's economy required constant growth. When the empire reached its natural borders, no new land, no new slaves, no new tribute, but the army still needed payroll. The system jammed. 3rd century CE. Hyperinflation and civil breakdown. In 50 years, 26 emperors rose and fell. Most were killed by their own troops. The army supported whoever paid more. Money became worthless. People received salaries but could not buy bread. Diocletian's failing solution, 301 CE. Emperor Diocletian issued a price control edict. Raising prices became punishable by death. Markets went underground. Trade turned to smuggling. The state fought its own economy. Taxes rise. Freedom ends. Taxes crushed small farmers and craftsmen. Citizens became debtors, client laborers on large estates or soldiers. Rome lost its class of free independent citizens, and no empire survives after that. The borders fail, outsourcing defense. Rome could no longer pay its own army. It invited Germanic tribes to defend the frontiers. Rome outsourced its own security. The end was now just a countdown. 410 CE. The sack of Rome. The Visigoth king Alaric entered Rome. A city undefeated for 800 years fell. But Rome was not destroyed by barbarians. Rome destroyed itself through its economic system. Final line. Rome did not fall because of enemies. Rome fell because its economy required endless growth, and nothing can grow forever.